everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jordan, and if you're new here, I post a lot of content about psychology, wellness, spirituality, overall healing, whether it be physically or emotionally. I'm super interested in it. So today I wanted to make a video about a subtle shift that I have taken in my personal life, also in my career, that is a huge game changer when it comes to my overall energy and also people's overall energy towards me. And this little shift that I have taken over the past couple of years is actually something that was ingrained in me growing up. I was raised around certain individuals that they were also raised in this manner. And so me growing up, I didn't really realize how this learned behavior was affecting my own energy and also affecting people's perception of me. And so I want to talk about this little learned behavior that I'm trying to teach myself now and how it has shifted and changed my experience and other people's experiences of me. So when I was growing up, I was raised around some people in my family. This is not everybody in my family, but maybe a couple of primary people in my life. I was around people that spoke really loudly, that cursed a lot, that were very negative, that gossiped a lot. And these were all behaviors that I honestly thought were normal. Up until a couple of years ago, I didn't really realize that not everybody cursed all the time and not everybody maybe raised their voice when they were angry. And maybe not everybody talked poorly about people when they weren't around, or just talked poorly about people maybe that they don't even know. I was raised around a lot of toxicity, negativity, in certain areas of my family, not my whole family, but just certain areas of my family. And so for me growing up, I just naturally I adopted those behaviors. I have a tendency to speak really loud. When I get really excited or passionate about something, I have a tendency to speak very fast. And I know growing up being having jobs in my early 20s and stuff like that, I also was told by a lot of bosses that I complained a lot. And it was crazy to me because I'm just oh my gosh, when people would say stuff like that to me, it would feel like a personal attack. Oh my gosh, I'm a bad person. You think I complain? I'm a really hard worker. Why would you think that? I'm here all the time. I never call out of work. It was it would bother me that people would say stuff. And it took me getting more deep into my spiritual journey, my emotional healing journey, when I started to learn and realize the power of our words. Obviously, on surface level, it's not great to gossip about people. It's not great to maybe use strong profanity, depending on your opinion on that. And it may not be great to complain a lot. Yes, on a surface level, yes, we should know that. Me growing up, I was raised around people who did that all the time, so I didn't really think much of it. I just thought everybody else was like that because all of my adults, the examples in my life, they were doing that. So yes, these are surface level common sense things that maybe I should have known from a young age, but unfortunately my examples weren't that. But also on a deeper level, than the surface level of it, there is actually so many studies and so much research about the power of our thoughts, the power of our words. And when I started diving deep into my spiritual journey, I read a book called The 4 Agreements. One of my friend's moms, who always had a really amazing energy about her, she recommended this book to me, and it honestly kind of started me down this journey. And in the 4 agreements, there's 4 agreements, and one of them is to be impeccable with your tongue, which basically is saying make sure that the things that are coming out of your mouth are intentional and you're aware of what it is that you're speaking to. And so when I read this book, the 4 agreements that are mentioned in this book were so profound to me. Yes, they were common sense things. They were cliche concepts that we hear a lot, but the way that this book broke it down like was so simple but also so like relatable for me. So when I started to really understand the power of the tongue, then it just over the last, I don't know, maybe 6 years, I've just seen more and more information about this from research studies of people like speaking to plants or speaking to ice and the way that it freezes, or the way that plants like will die if they're spoken to negatively, or they'll flourish if they're spoken to positively. Same thing with ice, same thing with sand. Like there's all of these studies and research about the power of our words and the power of our like intention behind our words, which really helped me open up and realize like why it's not great on a deeper level to gossip about people, why it's not great to complain, because those words, like, it's negative energy and it's coming out of your mouth and you're also spreading it to other people. Even if like somebody never found out that you gossiped about them, even if it's like a certain subject that you're complaining about, even if you're just casually saying, man, I really hate blue cars. Like these are just negative energies and negative things that are coming out of your mouth. And I didn't realize until a much older age the power of like the words that come out of my mouth, the power of like my outlook a lot of times is subconscious, and I don't really realize like what my outlook is until I start noticing my words. And another way that I was able to really kind of dive into what was coming out of my mouth frequently, or what like unconsciously, subconsciously was going on in my brain, is when I started to journal and I started to realize like how ungrateful I was, or how much I complained, or how much resentment maybe I was holding because of what was coming out on a piece of paper when I was journaling, which ultimately was coming out when I was having conversations with people a lot. So the subtle shift of just being super aware of how I spoke. Am I speaking slowly? Am I speaking softly? Am I using like positive, uplifting words, or am I using really damaging, derogatory words? Am I complaining? Am I gossiping? Am I saying positive things about like my experiences? Am I only focusing on the negative? Like these are all things that I subtly started changing when I firstly read that book and understood deeply the power of the tongue. And then as I kind of started going down my healing journey, like my emotional healing journey, I started to just see this like referenced everywhere, just about the energy that we release whenever we are saying positive or negative things, and how people are really big into manifestation now. And it's ultimately kind of the same thing. When we are like being intentional with our tongues, being intentional with our words, how we say stuff, it's also a form of manifestation. We are manifesting either positivity in our lives or negativity in our lives. If you are constantly like complaining, if you're constantly maybe focusing on negative things about a situation or about a person, that is a form of manifestation. You are manifesting negativity into your life. If you are always speaking on positivity, positive things, you're speaking about gratitude, the things that are coming out of your mouth are manifesting positive things. And yes, in the beginning, whenever you are trying to like maybe make a huge shift like I was in your life when it comes to how you're interacting and what words are coming out of your mouth, yes, this can be really hard. And I know for me, like when I first took notice to how I was actually behaving, what was coming out of my mouth on a frequent basis, it actually made me have a lot of shame and a lot of guilt, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have just been walking around my entire life being super negative, gossiping, complaining. Like I had no idea that that is how I interacted, and that's like the energy people received from me. And so in the beginning, when I started taking notice, it like didn't really feel very good. I was like ashamed, and it just wasn't great. But the more that I just kind of stuck at it and continued to pay attention and continued to be intentional about like how I'm showing up when I'm having conversations with people, I was able to give myself grace and forgiveness and say, hey, this was a learned behavior. You learned You had adults in your life that also had these characteristics. So you're having to unlearn what maybe you learned as a child, and it's okay, and give yourself grace and give yourself forgiveness. So these were kind of things that I was like trying to help myself understand and nurture myself through myself trying to change the power of my tongue. I went from being somebody who complained a lot, who was super negative and probably super judgmental and gossiped a lot, to now trying my best to be very conscious, very intentional about avoiding those things. Yes, sometimes these things may come up in my mind. Yes, I may have a complaint in my mind, or I may think a judgment of somebody, or like have some sort of like negative thought or negative energy. Yes, it may come up in my brain. I am human. I am still working through that. But by just being a little bit more intentional about what I actually allowed to come out of my mouth, has been a game changer. It's been a game changer for how I experience life. I'm like breeding a lot more positivity instead of negativity in my life. And I also know that it has, changed people's experiences of me. When I came back from being in a like meditative retreat or a meditative zone for like several months, I was really intentional about like the tone of my voice, the volume of my voice. I was very intentional with just like how slowly I was speaking, because I wanted to be really intentional about the things that came out of my mouth. And I was having people comment about it. They were like, "Oh my gosh, I feel so safe in your energy. I feel so nurtured in your energy." And that was really exciting for me, because I was just intentionally trying to change for myself. I wasn't really concerned about how other people were receiving my energy, but to get the feedback that people enjoyed my energy made me feel really good. And it also made me realize how the power that I can have of the way that people experience me overall, if I'm just a little bit more aware of how I'm like showing up in the world. So this is a video that I wanted to talk about when it comes to like changing your experience, changing the way that people receive you. It can really be as simple as just starting with being aware of the things that come out of your mouth. And maybe you start journaling and you start realizing how you're thinking in your head, which helps you become a little bit more aware about things that are coming out of your mouth whenever you're in real time having conversation with people. So I wanted to make this video because this has been a big game changer for me. It, as I mentioned, was learned behavior. I didn't really realize that not everybody behaved and operated like this. But as soon as I kind of saw the light and saw the importance of being intentional with our tongues, with our words, things that come out of our mouth, it really has affected my life in a positive way. So I wanted to make this video, do this, share with you guys about my own personal experience. So please comment below. I want to know, like, did you also have this learned behavior as a child? Is this something that you're currently working through? And be sure to like this video if it resonated. Please subscribe to this channel. I'm going to continue to be posting about my own personal healing, physical and emotional journey. And if you're not already, be sure to join our private Facebook community. It's totally free, but I link that in the description of this post, and then also in the description of this channel. And there you will find just different stuff that I'm focusing on, or things that I'm currently reading or watching. I just kind of share it with the people that are in that group, and sometimes we have conversations about it. So please like this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.